'Tis wonderful to see the CMC going beyond their search for a cutie mark. They spent nearly 5 seasons trying one random activity after another, and now we get to have characters that are evolving beyond what defined their greatest challenge in life. So, what sort of grand episode do we have as a follow-up to the highly memorable Crusaders of the Lost Mark? Well, I guess grand isn't the right word to use here. I wouldn't call On Your Marks a highly entertaining or highly memorable or even highly emotional episode. Kind of forgettable, honestly. But that's okay. There have been other CMC-focused episodes over the course of MLP that haven't left much of a lasting impression, but have still made for an enjoyable watch. And perhaps I was setting my expectations a bit high with having the CMC enter a new chapter in their lives together. So let's have a look-see at what On Your Marks has to offer. Now that the CMC have overcome one of their greatest struggles together, they are left with a question.
Now what?
And that's actually a very good question. What are the CMC going to focus on from here on out? It's established very early on in the episode that helping others with cutie mark problems is going to be few and far between, and traveling all over Equestria to specifically find ponies who need their help is also a no-go. Which, come to think of it, if they had managed to find a way to use the cutie map just like the main 6 do, maybe that could have added a lot of storyline potential. Then again, perhaps they could be saving that for future stories down the line. I admit that when Bulk Biceps was introduced, I was a little concerned they were going to focus the entire episode on just helping him, and I'm not really sure how they could have made that work. But thankfully, no, they didn't go in that direction. Instead, the more the episode went on, the more it became an Apple Bloom story rather than a CMC story. And while the thought of art classes, cooking in the kitchen, and even a dance studio might have made things a bit more interesting for a while, I actually didn't find all that much to keep my attention. Last week's The Gift of Maud Pie had a story that's been done over and over and over again, but the hilarious dialogue and the creative animation helped a great deal in keeping the episode entertaining. On Your Marks, however, didn't really have much in the way of comedic one-liners or out-of-the-norm facial expressions. We did get a rather soothing yet melancholy melody from Apple Bloom, and I really appreciate that MLP is keeping up the tradition of musical interludes. Though, now looking back at Sweetie Belle's attempts at getting her friends to sing makes the joke confusing. Or maybe it's just about trying to read music? Anyways, we eventually see that Apple Bloom actually is enjoying learning how to dance alongside... Wait, what was his name again? Oh, right, Tender Taps. He's obviously needing a little help from the CMC on getting in front of an audience, which was kind of retreading the conflict from Philly Vanilli now that I think about it. And we get a pretty straightforward ending with the CMC showing that they are following their destiny and helping others. And honestly, a lot of this story is, for lack of a better word, forgettable. Little in the way of entertaining dialogue or quotable one-liners, only a few bits of Easter eggs in the background, and not much in the way of creative animation. And the song, while welcome, doesn't seem like the kind of piece I'd want to listen to over and over like many of the previous musical interludes in the series. However, there is one element that actually did impress me: the moral. And it's actually not so in-your-face as a few of the other lessons have been. The reason Apple Bloom didn't pick up on an opportunity to help someone in need was because she was so focused on what's going wrong in her own life, even to the point of blaming her friends for leaving her alone and being constantly frustrated that she couldn't figure out what to do. And this actually has a lot of real-world application. Reminds me a lot of the 3 ways to fail at life. Complain about anything going wrong, blame others for your problems, and not be grateful for what you have. Because once Apple Bloom was able to put aside her own frustrations, she found a way to help someone in need while also discovering a new activity she could really enjoy taking part in. And while this episode might have been able to present it a little better, because I really can't think of much of a reason to go back and watch it again, I can appreciate a worthwhile lesson that you actually have to step back and ponder for a while. So in the end, I'd consider On Your Marks to be an okay episode, which happens to have a very worthwhile moral to go along with it. Far from the more entertaining entries in the series, but still worth a watch. But what did you think of the episode as a whole? Do you believe this story made for a good follow-up for the CMC finally receiving their cutie marks? What were your impressions of these new characters and activities that may or may not be a part of Apple Bloom's life down the road? Do you have any thoughts on the moral of putting aside your own frustrations to focus on opportunities to help others? I would like to hear your impressions for On Your Marks, and here's to hoping we get a few more entertaining bits in future episodes of MLP. I am Dr. Wolf, and I look forward to hearing from you.